So hello everyone. Today on this presentation, I would like to share with you some of my own experiences and lessons learned about being a mentor and about sharing a knowledge with others who mostly really need it. So like a few words about me. This is like I am in IT Science 2000 year. This was my first steps I did in the Polish information portal Interia. First 10 years I was like a total full stack, as almost everyone in this time. I was doing everything in any language which was available, like in Perl, in PHP, in Java. In HTML, I was starting with the Internet Explorer 5.5 and Netscape Navigator 4, and it was a hell, believe me. Since 9 years, I am only front-end developer. Last 5 years, only React, and last 4 years, I am a mentor. And this presentation will be like a summary of last 4 years of my mentor life. After work, I am a mom, a wife, gamer, runner, and crocheter, so my life is quite busy. So why mentoring? The first thing is to solve a problem, and the problem is huge. As you can see in the work offers everywhere, everyone is looking for people who have experience, like few years at least. And how the people who are just starting can get the job. It is almost not possible. So they are looking for friends, they are looking for family everywhere just to get a first job and start the journey. Mentor is a person who can help make it faster and better without like the standard mistakes and standard problems which people just after finishing their studies have and they are doing. The other thing is to share a knowledge. After many years of working in IT, we have a lot of experience and we have a lot of knowledge, and it is like, for me, it was like a need to start to share it, like to help someone else to not make all those mistakes which I did and maybe make some steps a little faster. It is also to get a better job for both sides, because if we are teaching others, we have to master the stuff which we are teaching, and it is much easier to go through the recruitment processes and the technical tests. Also to have a satisfaction, and believe me, if your mentee is getting a good job, it is a huge satisfaction which stays with you for a long time. And also to improve self-esteem, because if I am able to teach others, it means that I know enough by myself and I can share this knowledge. And if my mentee have some successes, it means I am doing it good. So it is always win-win situation. It is really worth it to start help others. So who is a mentor? Mentor is a person who possesses some knowledge, also experience, because only knowledge is mostly not enough. Especially in the IT world, we need to know not only how to do things, but also why we are doing them, and why we are choosing this path and not other. Other things which are really needed are soft skills like patience, empathy, and communication. And they are really needed like every time when we are communicating with any other person. We need to also will to teach and to share our knowledge, and not of course not everyone wants it. Some people are just gathering the knowledge and they want to be just the best, but they don't feel this need of sharing it, and this is also fine. Yeah, everyone is different. That's why the mentor has to have this willingness to share the knowledge. And mentor has to be open to accept that sometimes the only answer the mentor has is I don't know. And for me, it was like it was happening in the beginning very often. I just didn't think this way how my mentees did, and I needed to dig deeper and find answers to their questions. And what about mentee? Of course, this must be a person who wants to get something, yeah? So this must be a person who is missing something like knowledge or skills. This person must have motivation, the reason why you want to get some knowledge or skills. And this motivation is like the most important thing, which is making a cooperation between mentee and mentor possible. Soft skills, the same. And also willingness to learn, because motivation is like a starting point. But with time, when there is when the situations when the mentee does not know answers or just doesn't know how to do some things are coming more often, this willingness to learn is like a crucial that mentee stays on this learning path, and with time is starting to have some successes. So how to find a mentee or a mentor? And this is, I think, for now, the biggest problem for mentees, how to find a person who can share knowledge and who can help find better job or any job. From my experience, it is very good to start with the family. So I also was like working with my own already grown-up kids, and this was like very nice experience for us. Friends of friends, social media and professional networks are also very good source of people who want to share something. Meetups and forums, and to be honest, I am not quite sure what is more important, the friends and the social media or meetups and forums. This is like, for me, they are on the equal position. And work. A lot of companies have kind of sharing knowledge sessions or the whole programs when the people can find someone who knows something and want to share it. And it is working. I know some people who after such programs were switching their career and were starting something new. So this is really, really worthy to look for such people. Even if the company has no such program, it is good to just talk to the people who know something and just ask them if they could be like your mentor, or at least to present something what could be useful for you, or what could be a starting point for you if you are looking for a mentor. Then we have to choose wisely. And why? It is because this is like a relation for some time, and we don't want to spend like months and then realize that it wasn't worthy, that the person is not motivated enough or is not taking it real, the work you are putting for being a mentor. That's why it is good to meet. Now, of course, I am meeting only online, but earlier we were meeting like if it was possible, because I am a mentor not only for the people in the city where I am living, but also like from other countries. But it is really needed just to talk together, sometimes about something totally different, just to feel if there is at least a little chemistry between us. Sharing what is most important is also like the next very important step, because we will share or we will learn from other person, and we need to know that we are matching the same interests, or we feel that the same things are important for us. create a contract. A contract is a word from social psychology, and this is the way how the coaches are making their trainings, that with the group they first make a contract. For example, how we are raising questions, or when we are raising the questions, what words are allowed and which are not. So this kind of contract we are creating with our mentor or mentee, and then we are making an agreement, like how often do we meet, what we will do, how the path will look like, how the mentee can reach mentor and ask questions between the sessions. Everything what needs like to make a frame for our learning process. And there is also like a question and answer sessions, and then there is a decision from both sides, because both sides must be convinced that they want to work together. And my first mentee was 22 years old boy who was looking for his way, and he was looking really hard. So he was trying law studies, he was trying a lot of different things. He was a musician, and he played in a few bands in the beginning on the guitar. Then he started to be a vocalist. So like, many different things which were attracting him. And then like math and physics never was like important in his life, and he was working as a delivery boy. And like, once he decided that he wants to do something with his life, that this is not how he wants to finish, like finding any job and doing something and never have enough money to go for the vacation or something. So he had like a very strong his own motivation to give it a try. So yeah, this is him. And his plan was that he will restart his IT studies, because he resigned after the first semester, that he will start to work with math, and he will treat it with the respect which math really needs. His plan was to learn popular programming language, and at least one popular framework or library which will allow him to start the work as a developer. Yeah, like he wanted to match the job offers he was seeing in internet. So the plan was that after 1 year he will start his job, and he wanted to earn enough to rent his own flat and survive. And there was another word, which were my requirements, that studies, if he already started them, are like sacred, and he has to do it, and he has to learn, and he has to finish it. We planned regular online meetings, and there was like the minimum was 2 times per week. Of course, sometimes it was hard to make it, especially during a vacation or the holidays, something like this. But in general, this was a plan. In general, there was no stupid questions, only laziness with no it is easier to ask a mentor than looking for answer in internet and find a lot of pages with the stupid stuff and only one with this proper answer to our question. So this was like also my requirement, that I am answering to the questions only if there was some job already done on looking for the answer. All my homeworks and also the study homeworks and all side projects were obligatory, because this was also the part of his portfolio. Yeah, the GitHub is like very important for the software developer, so it was my requirement that he will work on everything. And his effort, he passed 2 years on university. He did his own researches, and he did a lot of them. And sometimes I was surprised because I had the feeling that he does not really understand, but he had all answers and he just needed me to bind everything together. He did his own project, not only one, but one was like the main one, which was which we were treating like his portfolio. And he really focused on math, and he was really good with math, taking like really good amount of points of his exams on his studies. And this was like really, really nice cooperation. And my effort was like preparing lessons, defining problems and questions that we could start to talk. And he had to find answers or made his own researches and discoveries, and then we could progress. I needed to set up a learning path, and to be honest, from my perspective, it was the hardest part of everything, just to put everything, like to make it flow. I needed to learn, because I never had this skill earlier, the time management, because making 2 meetings per week and also spending time on preparing lessons, it was taking a lot of my time. And it took us 18 months. So this was like my schedule for 18 months. What was the timeline? The first month were only basics, like set up the environment and stuff like this. The next month, we were learning the basics of JavaScript, the DOM events, we were learning Git, we did the calculator projects, and we were learning about differences between ECMAScript 5 and any actual ECMAScript. And then we were like progressing with time. So this is our schedule, which we did progress. And the result, after 18 months, he got a mid-dev job after, I think, 3 or 4 recruitment processes. So this didn't it didn't take so much time, to be honest. And now, this is like a year after this, he works for CG Project. And to be honest, I feel very proud of him. For me, I got job in Zalando. I just mastered the interview. I knew everything. There was no question they gave me and I didn't know the answer. And this was everything because I needed to learn to be a mentor, because about many things I just didn't even think when I was writing a code. I just knew how I should to write. And this was not so important to me why I am doing it. And learning someone, the question why is coming very often. And my findings from this journey are I introduced Git too late. So we had a lot of problems with making regular commits and learning about merges and other stuff. I introduced tests too late. And yeah, so we had a lot of problems. I also didn't cover design patterns enough, what means that he had problems on some interviews because there were questions about it. And in the very beginning, I didn't believe in him. I thought that he is not really focused on his target, on his goal, and I couldn't like focus fully on making it work. And this was like I think my biggest mistake in this specific mentoring. But in the end, it worked. Yeah, with time, I convinced myself that it is going in the good direction, and this was worthy to spend the time. There is also additional knowledge which is worth it to discover when you want to be a mentor. This is like the group dynamics theory, because even the 2 people are making a group. So the whole phases and the whole problems which can come during the whole process, it is good to know about them and somehow foresee them. Learning curve theory, it is good for us because we are also learning all the time, and it is good to know how our mentee is learning. How memory works. What means that we have to make this whole repetition, coming back to the problems which we solved some time ago, just to remind them and to work with them again to be sure that they stay fresh. And conclusions, why is more important than how? Because if we understand why something is happening or why we are doing something, we can find many different ways to achieve it. The best learning is learning on own mistakes, on our own mistakes. So like preparing the lessons when I know that the easiest solution is not the proper one was the best way to show how we should to do stuff, how we should to write our code. It is also very important to know how to learn and how to teach. This is also the process. Of course, we cannot just learn it reading one book. We have to go through this process. And good practices are coming to be a good habits, so that it is very good to introduce them as soon as possible from the very beginning. And ego and emotions on both sides are not helping at all, but hobby is helping a lot. And my mentee music interest was like really helping him. He could just, get off of the writing code, just get a guitar or go something, and then he was just happy. He could rest. Who is next? 2 young women. We are working already together, and we are like one is already working and she just needs my help from time to time, and another one is on the learning progress. We plan to put her on the market on the beginning of the next year. Thank you very much. I hope you get something from my presentation.
Thank you very much, Maja. Incredible path, incredible remarks. I'm so happy that you mentioned that why is more important than how. And I will have this question to you because it comes all the time. I think that actually the major motivation for many people is just money. For me also, as I was a teacher before I got into IT in 2013, I was really struggling and had a lot of issues with just making it from end to end as a husband and father of 2, and it was for me extremely hard to earn for a living as a teacher. And I had experience with programming before, so I thought that wow, maybe I could actually apply this and have some better job just to survive on a reasonable level. However, programming also well, I was so lucky that it was also gave me a lot of fun at the same time. So the why was mixed, right? it was both kind of fun and money. And how about your experience with this? Because many people just say, okay, that's just money. Let's say I can do hard work just for money. And what if someone has this approach?
So, my plan in the very beginning was to be a psychologist. I never thought that I will be an IT specialist, and being a psychologist was more like the need of my soul than need of any money. In the meantime, I met my husband who was already in IT, and he somehow, just get me inside. So but I think it was just planned, because when I started to work in Interia, I didn't even know how to work good with the browser. And then with time, I was working there for 1.5 years. I learned everything. I learned how to work in the front end. I learned how to work with PHP. And this was the moment when I started to realize that I can also earn having a fun, because coding was a fun. But I think for me, it never was like the main reason to have the money. Like somehow this was more like the need from myself, from the inside. I never regret that I changed my studies, and that I decided to go in the IT. Of course, now I am working in the company which is paying really good, and I cannot complain, and I am happy about this. But still, I have a lot of fun, making the projects, working on the Greenfield project currently, and using the newest technologies. And this is just making me really, really happy. So I just do what I like.
That's fantastic to hear. And we have a question from Bartek Telek. Yeah. So, how high were your skills when you started mentoring? Do you feel like you could got that job at Zalando before you started teaching?
Okay, so with Zalando, there was I was thinking about joining the Zalando even earlier before I started to mentor, but there was a problem that the opinions about Zalando and opinions about the recruitment process were really bad. Like every Zalando software engineer is trying to show you that you know nothing. And I really didn't want to have such experience. And to be honest, after this mentoring, after having the feeling that I know every single piece of this JavaScript, every single basics, everything what I can really learn, make me, okay, let's try if they are really so good. And they didn't. So to be honest, it gave me a lot of feeling strong enough.
Yeah, well, that's very important to have this feeling, especially if you struggle with something that's called by many as impostor syndrome. Actually, this notion was so frequently used in discussions about programming and about learning how to program and teaching others that I actually got really fed up with this. But I feel like I must ask you this question. So, how about tackling imposters syndrome? Because it's always difficult to check if how much a new person in IT is imposing their skills or actually only faking that they really can do some programming, and how can you actually check that you are a really good programmer?
This is very hard to check, because as you probably know, in the very beginning of our journey, we feel with every learned skill that we are very good. We still don't know how much we don't know. And this is a very beginning. And then after some time, we are starting to learn that there are people who know much more from us. And this is the moment when our self-esteem is going down, because we started to realize how much we have to learn to be as good as they are, to be so sure about things they are talking about and we have totally no idea about. So this is like the process, but then everything depends also on the people. So I am also proceeding the interviews to Zalando on the front end positions, and the people are just different. I am meeting people who are so sure about their skills that even if they are not sure the proper answer, with their the feeling, with their confidence that they know, the recruitment process is just going, because they are able to make other people to feel that they know, even if the answers are not always precise, and so on. So, and sometimes there are people who are just hiding and they're saying, no, I am not sure, I never work with it. And then you have the feeling that they don't know, and this is the best moment to start to get the knowledge out of them, because mostly they know much better than they very sure people. So
yeah, that's something I also can confirm. And what I like about certain programmers is that they just, when they don't know, they just say I don't know, and they just can, for example, direct you to somewhere where you could learn. However, yeah, that's the right answer. So I can see. Okay, so that's all questions. I'm so happy, Maja, that I met you. You joined our WarsawJS workshop, and I joined also the same group where you were learning then with Piotr, and your questions were showing so much extremely precise knowledge. I was so impressed, and I thought, wow, Maja, we need to have you on WarsawJS. How did you make it that you learned so deeply to understand how to program, and so thank you very much. I'm happy. I'm very happy to be your host today, and I still have hope that we will join our networking session. So maybe more people will have questions to you. And
I think I will. That there is a question if I work only with beginners. No, it depends who come to me and how we will develop our contract. Because I work also with a girl who already got her first job as a developer, but she feels that she has missing elements, or that she cannot make the whole application alone, and she needs some support. And I am also working with her. Our meetings are not so regular. This is mostly coming from her when she finds a problem and she needs someone who will help her to understand everything properly. Then we have a meeting.